6 races to go in the Spanish F4 Championship 2024, and with 142 points left in the championship table, it is going to be an exciting climax to this incredible season as the championship moves to the Circuito Jerez de la Frontera, scene of many a championship showdown and great race classic in the world of Formula One. Of course, Jacques Villeneuve became world champion here in Formula One in 1997 after his great duel with the great Michael Schumacher. Now it's Spanish F4 that takes center stage, and with 142 points remaining in the championship fight, it's still wide open for the title race. Qualifying has already given us a very interesting battle. Chiano Alazari got the fastest time to go pole position for both Q1 and Q2 to start on the front of race 1 and race 3. But there's already early drama. He's been given a 3-place grid penalty for the first race that drops him to 4th position on the grid. That's a sanction that carries over from Motorland Aragon, which means that Mattia Colnaghi, his championship rival, will pick up the 2 points and the pole position. And that means, of course, that the championship that should have been an increase of the gap from 21 points to 23 is now a decrease of the gap from 21 to 19. So it's even tighter going into this first of 3 races this weekend. As you can see for yourself, the pit lane is open and the drivers are heading out onto this fantastic circuit. Former Grand Prix venue, both of the Spanish and European Grand Prix, and one of the most fantastic circuits in Europe. I love coming here. It's a really exciting venue. It's also one of the few laps I've actually done on wheels. Actually, a few years ago I managed to grab a couple of laps around the circuit on a moped and really enjoyed it as well, with the company of some of the world's superbike riders a few years ago. And my goodness, is this place a fantastic circuit. Hello everybody, hola mi amigos, Jake Sanson here in the commentary box for Spanish F4. My friend Alex Garcia is down in pit lane and will obviously be giving us plenty of updates through the course of the weekend. We have got plenty to talk about and a lot of great activity. There's all sorts of announcements coming out of the woodwork ahead of the 2025 season, including the announcement that we are going to be having a Spanish F4 and Euro Cup 3 winter series of 3 weekends across February and March 2025. We're all very excited to consider the journey of single-seater racing in Andalusia continued going into the winter. We're all very excited to see which drivers and teams are going to show up, and of course how exciting the racing is going to be for those 3 particular race meetings. We'll bring you more news about that in just a short while, but great to have you, and great to welcome a few more new faces to the stream as well, because we've got a few new drivers on the starting grid for this one. It's great to see a few of the newcomers that have decided to join us for at least one, if not both, of the remaining rounds of the championship, particularly the likes of young British driver Chase Fernandez, who is the vice champion of Ginetta Junior this year, hailing all the way from the Houghton Park IndyCart Championship of many years ago. That's below the club rankings, and it's wonderful to see him having worked his way through from the race circuits of Cheshire in British karting all the way up to Spanish F4. He's only had 2 days in an F4 car, and here he is this weekend putting in an excellent show. Can't wait to see what he'll do. He's not the only one on the grid. We also have Eduardo Jacobucci, who comes into the GRS team. He's going to be racing the number 28 car that's previously been raced by Due de Decker, who's now, of course, moved up to Euro Cup 3, and most recently by Nerea Marti in the last 2 weekends of the championship. We also have, all the way from Angola, Lorenzo Campos will also be at the GRS team, taking over the seat that was vacated recently by the Dutchman Renault Franco. That's in the number 5 car that's also been raced this year by Jaden Pariat of India, Rafael Taran of Venezuela, and Leah Block of the United States. We also have, all the way from Lebanon, Christopher El Fagali, very talented karting racer and very talented single-seater driver, now stepping into the F4 Spanish Championship for the first time. Alex Garcia is down there on the circuit, ready for a little bit of a track walk. Alex, how are things there? Looks a little bit cloudy today.
It is a little bit cloudy today. Hello, Jake. Happy to be with you again. And we were just talking with Santi, and we were joking because the moment he said, you know, it's getting a little bit colder or cooler, you know, the sun came out again. And then when I mentioned, yes, the sun has come out, then now it's hiding again. So, you know, it's going to be one of those days where I think temperature is going to be coming and going. But yes, it's a little bit cooler than it has been in qualifying, which is, I think, interesting for us because we're going to see a race that will be maybe a little bit less tactical and a bit more direct, a bit more aggressive from the drivers. So that's a good thing. And I have to say, I was listening to you mention Noah Monteiro, who is, of course, the first driver confirmed for next season. So exciting name, exciting driver from karting. So as always, Formula 4 Spanish Championship, very interesting for young drivers, for young talents, and it continues to be a thing for the future. So I think that's very good news.
Yes, Noah Montero, of course, the son of Formula One driver and US Grand Prix podium finisher Tiago Monteiro, the Portuguese driver, the only driver ever to be on the podium in Formula One. His son Noah is going to be fantastic when he gets the Spanish F4. Now let's talk about this first race of the day, Alex. Pole position originally went to Chiano Alazzari, but with that sanction dropping him back to 4th place, he now has both his championship rivals ahead of him on the grid. Mattia Kolnagi and Matej Gladic lining up on the front row of the starting grid. That could be a lot of pressure heading into this first corner.
That could be quite spicy because we have the 3 title contenders and, of course, the king of Valencia, Juan Cota, in 3rd place. So, of course, those are going to be 4 drivers who definitely want to come out on top. And I don't think everyone is going to take the same amount of risks. I think Chiano Alazzari needs to be mindful of that because any retirement or any zero that he has is going to make life very difficult for him because his rivals have been stepping up the game. He has been a little bit unlucky in the last few races, so he needs to be a little bit safer. So that's probably the main point for the first, I would say, first lap and a half.
Yeah, he's only 19 points ahead of his rivals in the championship, and with 25 points available for the win, definitely going to be a little bit interesting. What can you tell us from the practice sessions and from qualifying about how the drivers are feeling going into this one? What's the general feeling in regards to tyres and race strategy?
In general, that's what we were talking about. We noticed that the tire degradation was quite high, in general, from free practice, from qualifying especially. But it is also true that now, as we were mentioning with Santi, the cloud is getting a little bit bigger, or let's say the biggest cloud is getting a little bit over the track. So temperature is definitely going to go down. And if that happens, any drivers who have been struggling with tire degradation probably are going to have a better chance. That said, you know this, Jake. The drivers on top of qualifying session at this point in the season are the drivers who have been consistently, more consistent, but also faster. So I don't think it will make a big difference in terms of result, but it will probably make a little bit of a difference in terms of how the race develops.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to witness how it all goes. Gracias, mi amigo Alex. We will catch up with you a little bit later on in the Race 1 broadcast. Hopefully, we don't need you too many times through the course of Race 1. Keep your ears to the grindstone. You never know what might happen.
We'll be there.
Gracias. So let's go around on the formation lap then as the drivers get themselves ready for another exciting battle here at Jerez de la Frontera. And what a battle it's going to be from the outset. Mattia Kolnagi and Matej Gladic will be an all front row of the grid for the KCL MB Motorsport team, with triple winner at Valencia, the king of Valencia, Juan Cota, lining up 3rd on the starting grid alongside championship leader Chiano Alazzari. The 4 top winning drivers in this championship are in the top 4 places on the grid. It really is going to be very tough to predict who's going to get the best of this first race of the weekend. And with 6 races to go in the championship, it's definitely going to be incredibly intense. So as we prepare to talk our way through the grid in full, Kolnagi, Gladic, Cota and Alazzari are once again the form makers here. It looks as though Juan Cota's just got a little bit slow out of the blocks this season to get the wins going, but now he's certainly unlocked winning pace. He is right up at the front and here to stay by the look of things. So it's going to be Mattia Kolnagi and Matej Gladic from Juan Cota and Chiano Alazzari. That's the first 2 rows of the grid taken care of. 5th on the grid will be Ernesto Rivera, the Mexican driver for the Griffin Core by Campos team. He's alongside the Dutchman René Lammers, son of the great Jan Lammers, Le Mans 24-hour winner and Formula One driver. Then in 7th on the grid, we have Griffin Peebles, the Australian. He's going to be charging forward, the Formula Winter Series champion, alongside Red Bull young gun from Miami, Florida, James Egozzi. He's going to be there very strongly in 8th position on the grid. Then we'll have Jan Piotrowski, the Polish driver, and the Belgian talent, Thomas Strauben. He's going to be there for the Rodin Motorsport team. Then we have Matthias Reiber doing a fantastic job, 11th on the grid for the Drivex team. Here is the starting grid in full. Mattia Kolnagi and Matej Gladic then, the Italian and the Pole on the front row of the grid. Juan Cota and Chiano Alazzari, 2nd row from Ernesto Rivera and René Lammers. Then Griffin Peebles and James Egozzi, Jan Piotrowski and Thomas Strauben from Matthias Reiber, and Francisco Macedo, the Portuguese driver for DXR. Then it's Lucas Flucher, way down 13th on the grid with Nathan Ty of Great Britain, Adam Alazzari from the UAE, Peter Busanellos in 16th, then Ariel Elkin, the Israeli, and Enzo Tambadickel, the Red Bull from Thailand. Gabriel Gomez and Ivan David, the Brazilian, and the Sri Lankan. Then Chase Fernandez, Lenny Reed. 23rd on the grid is Tim Gerhards from Lorenzo Castillo, then Maxi Restrepo, Adam Hideg, Christian Cantu and Filippo Fiorentino, then Alexander Jacobi, Victor Dobzhansky, Christopher Fagali, the Lebanese driver, alongside the Australian talent Joan Ciconti. And then behind her, we have Andres Cardenas and Lorenzo Campos, two drivers who didn't get any times down on the board, unfortunately. But the Peruvian and the Angolan have a great chance to put on a show here at Jerez. Half an hour plus 1 lap is the race time we have. 25 points available for the race win, and this is one of the most important races of the season in Spanish F4. Just 6 races to go, 19 points between the leader and second place in the championship. So this is where it all gets exciting. The lights will come on, and when we go, we're racing at Jerez, and it's a fantastic start from the front of the grid, but an even better start from the second row from Juan Cota, who has shot forward. Juan Cota's going to try and take the lead round the outside. What a start from the King of Valencia. He's trying his best to get into the lead. He hasn't quite made it past Carnaghi, but an absolutely beautiful start from Juan Cota. He's now in a second place. I couldn't quite see what happened to Kiano Alazari. He seems to have lost a little bit of time as Maciej Gladish tries to get back in his second place on the inside of Cota. He can't get there. Somebody running wide on the far side. One of the MP drivers going out wide. Can't quite see who lost the time, but certainly a lot of positions lost out for one of the cars in orange and black. But certainly Mattia Carnaghi for KCL MP leading the way here, and it's a perfect start as far as he's concerned. Juan Cota through into second position, doing a great job. And it's Kiano Alazari down in 5th position, so Ernesto Rivera is the one that managed to break through to 4th position. Not too much positions lost for Kiano Alazari, only the one for the moment. Then Strauven, Lama, Zagotzi, Petrovsky, Flusha, Macedo, Adam Alazari in 12th from Peebles, and Ariel Elkin, the Israeli, moving forward into 14th place. Then it's Ryber, Pusinellos, Gomez, Yavan David doing well in 18th, then Lenny Reed. Nathan Ties had a terrible start. The British driver all the way down in 20th. Looks like a couple more drivers running the gauntlet and running out wide. So difficult for a couple of the drivers there. Looks like Lenny Reed's lost a few positions. Andres Cardenas is already up to 24th position. Enzo Tavanichko's had a horrible start. The Red Bull youngster is down the order. So they've worked their way through the chicane that was actually built and installed ready ahead of the 1994 running of the European Grand Prix here, sadly after the tragic deaths of Ayrton Senna and Roland Ratzenberger. But now the races continue on their way down the straight, and Mattia Carnaghi is your leader at the end of the first lap. Then it's Juan Cota, Gladish, Rivera, Alazari, Thomas Strauven 6th for Rodin. Then it's Lama, Zagotzi, Petrovsky and Lucas Flusha looking to finish up the top 10. They're the point scorers at the moment. And with 6 races to go in the championship, every single point counts. And look how aggressive Rivera is getting on terms with his Campos rival. Rivera, sorry, in the Campos, trying to take on the MP Motorsport driver Maciej Gladish, trying to get ahead of the pole. He could really do with getting that move done fairly rapidly because he's got Kiano Alazari all over the back of him. And Alazari's got pressure too from Thomas Strauven. Lap 2, down the straight, down the hill. Maciej Gladish making sure that there's no chance for an offense on the inside line from Ernesto Rivera. Pulls right across to ensure it, and 3rd position will do a lot of favours for the young Pole. But Juan Cota is getting away in 2nd position, and so too, of course, is Mattia Carnaghi in the lead of the race. But Kiano Alazari's got bigger fish to fry. He's got Thomas Strauven all over the back of him in the Rodin car. So the number 99, Rodin is going to want to put a flake in it and shove it up the inside to get into 5th position. But the Rodin Motorsport car not quite able to get the moves on Kiano Alazari just yet. Renny Lammers back in B7, then Ogotzi, Petrovsky, Flusha and Macedo. Plenty of talents in this field. Great to see the new drivers getting in there and having a bit of a race of it. Ariel Elkin up into 16th position. He is the leading driver of the new boys this weekend. Ariel Elkin, the man who scored a bronze medal in the FIA Motorsport Games in the karting section all the way back in 22, and has been racing out in the United States for a lot of the last couple of seasons. Great to see him do such a good job here. 16th already in front of Gabriel Gomez and Yavan David, as well as the Campos driver, Nathan Ty, who's had a bit of a difficult start in this one. Who else is going well? Well, of the new faces, Christopher Elfagali for the Drivex team is up at 29th, ahead of Dobrzansky, Jacobi, Restrepo, and then the 2 other new drivers, Joan Ciconti and Lorenzo Campos, sadly at the tail end of the field. But everybody's still going, and we've got no needs for safety car or anything like that. Adam Alazari has lost a couple of places on this lap. He's come now behind Mattis Reiber and Griffin Peebles as they go through at the end of the first sector. Down the back straight. This is the corner where Schumacher made his slam dunk move on Jacques Villeneuve. It backfired. He went off into the gravel, and the championship was won in favour of the Canadian. Ricciardo Malazzari is trying to win his own championship here in the F4 Spanish Championship season 2024, and he's got a lot of pressure from Thomas Strauven. The 4 drivers in head have got well clear, and Ester de Vera has dropped Ricciardo Malazzari for the moment, and he's going straight after Maciej Gladish. This is a great run from both drivers. 3rd position for Gladish, 4th place for Ester de Vera, and it's looking good at the moment. Lots of support in the stream for a lot of drivers, particularly for the likes of Christopher El Fagali. A lot of the Lebanese supporters coming in. Great to see you all. He's doing a great job at the moment. Also a lot of support for the Polish drivers, Maciej Gladish and Jan Piotrowski. Both drivers are in the points once again. They've been very competitive races all through this Spanish F4 Championship season. Maciej Gladish currently running 2nd in the rookie category, ahead of Ester de Vera. Only Juan Cota stops him from running 2nd outright, but Cota has just banged in the new fastest lap, a 1:44.359. He's got what it takes to go after the Italian in the lead. Mattia Colnaghi currently leads the way here in Spanish F4 at Jerez in race 1 2024. Can the KCL MP driver maintain it? Look how much curb they use. As long as they stay with 2 wheels on the racetrack itself, then that's perfectly acceptable in the rules, but I've always felt I'm a bit more old school like that. I prefer to have all the cars' wheels on the race circuit, but try and convince these guys to slow down, and they won't. They'll take as much of the racetrack and a bit more if it's available to them. Down the back straight. Just waiting for Juan Cota to really size up the move on Mattia Colnaghi. He's gone with him and they're disappearing. 2 cars go through the race circuit better than 1 do. So Juan Cota trying to make it 4 wins in a row. It's amazing, isn't it? Drivex waited 4 years for an F4 Spanish Championship race win, and now they can't stop winning. But at the moment, Mattia Colnaghi is in their way. So Juan Cota really starting to put Mattia Colnaghi under pressure. He's got a bit of a Sebastian Vettel aura to him as Juan Cota. As soon as he's figured out how to win, he can't stop. Through to the S's, right, left, right. We're going to see a replay of the start. Now, look, Juan Cota, that was a very fast start. Now, I don't know whether that's a jump start or not, but if it is, then that could explain why he was so nearly through into the lead. The problem is we didn't see the lights, so we can't tell whether that's a jump start or not, or whether that was just slightly better reactions. He certainly moved before everybody else did, but that doesn't mean he jumped the start. We didn't see the lights from that position. That camera didn't show us when the lights went out, so we can't tell at the moment, and there's no investigation for that at the moment. So I would assume then that we're okay for the moment. There is no investigation on the board, so he must have got the perfect race start compared to everybody else. Certainly there's no investigations at the moment, and we are already 7.5 minutes into the race, so I think that might be perfectly okay. Absolutely incredible performance for the moment as the drivers work their way through. Down the back straight, and Cota really putting Colnaghi under pressure. Then it's Maciej Gladish and Ester de Vera in 4th place. Meanwhile, Matas Reiber's had a couple of difficult moments. Griffin Peebles has got ahead, the Australian, as too has Adam Alazzari, and the other Australian in the race, Peter Pusinellos, has got ahead of him. So down to 15th goes the youngster Matas Reiber. Look at Juan Cota trying to go different lines compared to Mattia Colnaghi even to put him under some pressure. A 1:44.092 for Juan Cota, another new fastest lap, a couple of tenths quicker than Mattia Colnaghi, but he just can't quite find the position to make the overtake. Meanwhile, let's talk a bit about Thomas Strauven, shall we? He's come up 4 places from 10th on the grid as Ariel Elkin moves up into 15th place now. He's got ahead of Matas Reiber. Another man on the move is Andres Cardenas. He's moved up 11 places off the grid, up from 33rd on the grid to 22nd. A little bit of a lock-up there from Mattia Colnaghi. Shows you the kind of pressure that Juan Cota is putting him under as they come through at the end of the lap. And look at this, 0.4 of a second in it. It really is tight at the moment. We've got yellow flags on the course. Yellow flags. Somebody's gone off somewhere. I think it might be Lorenzo Castillo having an issue. So, oh no, it looks like Andres Cardenas has gone off the road. Andres Cardenas has gone off somewhere. We need to find out where that happened. But there's yellow flags. Andres Cardenas has had a problem, and so too has Chase Fernandez. So the British driver Chase Fernandez for Rodin has not come through at the end of the lap. Cardenas has rejoined at the back. Chase Fernandez appears to be off the road. That's a really unfortunate situation for the British driver. We've got yellow flags out, but I think they've been withdrawn now. So Chase Fernandez must be off the circuit somewhere. It's sector 3 where he's come off the road. But look at the pressure Juan Cota's now putting on Mattia Kolnagi. I think when they come through this time, we're going to find there's a Rodin Motorsport car, number 55, Chase Fernandez, stopped out on the circuit somewhere in sector 3, because he's certainly not come through. Now he's come through, I believe. So he's lost a lot of time in the final sector, but he's down at the back. So he hasn't stopped on the circuit, but he has lost about half a minute compared to everybody else. So very unfortunate indeed for Chase Fernandez. Meanwhile, back to the chicane, heavy braking. Kolnagi and Cota having a great duel for the win here. Mathieu Gladish looking good for a 3rd position finish. 5th place for Chiano Alazzari. It's frustrating, but it's damage limitation for the young man from the United Arab Emirates. He's got a great chance to continue his journey and move forwards. 15 points in the offing for Mathieu Gladish, 25 in the offing for Mattia Kolnagi, and only 10 for Chiano Alazzari. That is massive as far as the championship is concerned, of course. So let's not forget how difficult that's going to be, because if we look at it from the championship perspective, 25 points for Kolnagi brings him a lot closer to Chiano Alazzari. If Alazzari's only going to get 10, that really does make things pretty tight as far as the championship is concerned. Mathieu Gladish in 3rd position. That's going to be 15 points to the good for him. So he's going to gain 10 points on Chiano Alazzari. He'll lose 10, of course, to Mattia Kolnagi, but he'll still keep himself very much in the mix. And let's not forget that with a 19-point deficit, if it finishes like this, Mattia Kolnagi is going to go from 19 points back to just 4 points back. It's massive for the championship fight if it stays like this, and Chiano Alazzari knows it. That crash in the first race at Valencia has definitely come back to bite him now. Not only has he got that 3-place grid penalty that drops him from pole position to 4th for race 1, but it also puts him on the back foot now that he's down in 5th with his main rival Mattia Kolnagi in the lead. So that big points deficit of 19 points is about to be sliced down to just a mere 4, unless Juan Cota can get ahead of Mattia Kolnagi, and then that will decrease the gap from that will increase the gap again from 4 points back to 11 points back. So Juan Cota right in behind Mattia Kolnagi, but again, unable to do anything about making the move. Still hasn't quite happened for him yet. So drivers are still making moves. We've got Ariel Elkin up to 15th position. We've also got Enzo Tarvanichkul and Christopher El Fagali making their way up the ranks. Yellow flags again on track. So it looks like someone else has had an off somewhere. Double yellow at turn 10, I think it is. But now green flags are waving. Tim Gerhards is dropping down the field. So Tim Gerhards appears to have had an off somewhere. And Nathan Tighe's coming into the pits. So Nathan Tighe's had damage. So that is very bad news indeed for the British driver from Campos. So it looks to me as though Nathan Tighe and Tim Gerhards have had an issue somewhere on the circuit. Obviously we had double yellows at turn 10, so that's got to be the most likely location. But because we didn't see it, we can only speculate. So problems then for Nathan Tighe and Tim Gerhards. They've got problems now, and certainly Tighe is in the pits. But there's some big moves being made. As a result of that, everybody that was behind them has now gone up a place. And there is Nathan Tighe pulling in to retire. What a shame for the British driver. It really isn't a good day for the Brits in Spanish F4, is it? Nathan Tighe is in the pits and Chase Fernandez is all the way down at the back. Very unfortunate indeed for both men. Juan Cota, though, right in behind Mattia Kolnagi. Still trying to put Kolnagi under pressure, but Mattia Kolnagi knows this is his best chance to get back into the lead of the championship. He's got a real opportunity here, and he wants to take it through the S's onto the far side of the course. Looking good as they head down to the final turn, that very tight left-hand hairpin. Chiano Alazzari has got back up to an Esther Vera now. Great work from Mathieu Gladish, by the way. He's managed to pull out 1.2 seconds on the Mexican. So Mathieu Gladish, the pole, is now doing well in 3rd place and looking like he's going to secure that podium, which keeps him in touch in the championship. It's not going to be as easy, but he's certainly going to gain some points on Chiano Alazzari in the lead of the championship. So you never know. There's still great opportunities for this one. Lots of great support for young Chris Alfagali, who's up to 23rd, by the way, on the live stream. Also for the Polish drivers, all 3 of them. Maciej Gladish, Jan Piotrowski, and Wiktor Dobrzański, who's having a much tougher race than the top two, who are both in the points, by the way. Wiktor Dobrzański is the last of the regular runners because, of course, Tim Gerhardt and Chase Fernandez are behind them, but they've had offs. So looking back to the third place battle, look at Maciej Gladish. He's actually pulled away a little bit from Ernesto Rivera, who's falling back into the clutches of Keanu Alazari with that beautiful black and white silver chrome helmet of Keanu Alazari. It looks so cool in the Spanish sun. Thomas Strauven behind him in the black Rodin Motorsport car. They go through the left-hander. It's a fairly fast corner, that one. The back end really wants to try and overtake the front end, but you've got to be so careful and so balanced. What Alex was telling us at the beginning of the bill was, of course, how high the degradation is here on the tyres. But this isn't just about racing wheel to wheel, it's also about making sure those Hankooks can go the distance. Not easy to gauge just how much of a distance you can put on these cars, on the tyres. But certainly these drivers are working the magic as best as they can to extend the lifespan. Through the hairpin, Rivera, Alazari, Strauven, 4th, 5th and 6th. Down the straight trying to get after Maciej Gladish once again, but Maciej Gladish has got himself a little bit of space between them, a little bit of daylight, as they say. In the final 4-point scoring positions, we have James Zigotzi, René Lammers, Lucas Flusha and Jan Piotrowski. Then Francisco Macedo, the Portuguese driver, ahead of Griffin Peebles. Then it's Adam Alazari from Peter Pusinellos. Ariel Elkin doing a good job in his F4 Spanish Championship debut. Then Gabriel Gomez ahead of Ivan David, Lenny Reith, Lorenzo Castillo, Matas Schreiber in 20th, and then it's Adam Hideg and Enzo Tvanvadichku from Christopher El Fagali, Filippo Fiorentino, and then Christian Cantu from Maxi Restrepo. Joan Ciconti having a very sizable race battle as well. And then Andres Cardenas in 28th position at the moment. All having a very good race of it as they continue on, battling well. And so the battles are raging, having a really good race of it up at the sharp end of the dais. Still these three are locked together, Rivera, Alazari and Strauven. Nothing to choose between them at the moment. Really is tight in terms of lap times as well. If you look at it in terms of what their best times are, Ernesto Rivera has done a 1:44.67. Keanu Alazari's done a 1:44.51. Thomas Strauven's done a 1:44.54. There's nothing in it really between these guys. They've had a really solid race of it. It's been a very tough battle as they continue their hard work, really putting on a good show of it as they continue to push forward. But it's going to be a really exciting battle. Cars are still going for it, looking for a good opportunity. So let's see. Mattia Kolnagi and Juan Cota, look how close they are together. 0.4 of a second in it. A very tight race battle between them. And you really get the sense that Juan Cota is getting irritated now. He's getting frustrated. Sat behind Mattia Kolnagi. He really wants this overtake. He really wants to get ahead of the Italian. The Italian is not making it easy for him at the moment. Not so easy. Good battles, good performances so far. But let's see if there's going to be a bigger opportunity coming for Juan Cota. He's running out of time, to be fair. 11 minutes 45 roughly, plus the additional lap. So he's got to be very focused on his objectives here. Not going to be so easy to figure out where the big moves are going to come. But Mattia Kolnagi, Juan Cota, Maciej Gladish, Ernesto Rivera, Keanu Alazari and Thomas Strauven. That's your top 6 at the moment. Half a second still between Kolnagi and Cota. Nothing in it between them. Half a second as they came through the last timing line. But Juan Cota's best lap is a 1:44.09. Mattia Kolnagi's best is a 1:44.16. So there really is only about 0.07 of a second difference in speed at their best between them. Nothing in it. But the problem is Juan Cota just can't quite get close enough to Mattia Kolnagi to deliver the slam dunk overtake. Not for the want of trying though, he really wants to go for it. Down the main straight. Looking good as he continues the challenge. This is not going to be easy at all. Looking back, look how much distance they've put on everybody else. Maciej Gladish, 3rd position. having a good run of it. And Esther Vera in 4th place. Then Chiano Alazzari, Thomas Strauben, James Zagotzi, P7. Then it's René Lammers from Lucas Flusha and Jan Piotrowski. Still a very solid race of it at the moment. Still these battles continue unabated. They're looking for the big opportunities. They're looking for the big moments to come through. But there's still a long way to go in this race. 10 minutes plus the additional lap. You can still get a good 4 laps out of this circuit in that. Maybe even 5 or 6, depending on whether we go safety car or not. Certainly at the moment, there's a bit of pressure on a few of these drivers. Look at Chiano Alazzari trying to get away from... Oh, no, sorry, that is René Lammers, I should say, trying to get away. Oh, and off the road! That's gone very badly wrong. Well, that's game over for Joan Ciconti. Joan Ciconti, the Australian, has gone clean off the road there. And that is a yellow flag. That could even be a safety car. It is. Safety car. Safety car is deployed. Well, that's unfortunate for Joan Ciconti. So, safety car. This is real pressure now on all of the drivers that were around on that part of the circuit, because now everything's going to tighten up. So you've got to feel for Joan Ciconti, but her car is completely and utterly beached at that point on the course. So it's a really difficult scenario now as safety car is deployed. Now this is going to tighten everything up. This is really going to tighten things up. Well, there is a rather frustrated Drivex driver. Let's have a look and find out what happened. Oh, straight into the back. That has not gone well at all. Straight into the back goes Joan Ciconti. Well, that was a bit of a miscommunication under braking there. So it all went very badly wrong indeed. Very unfortunate. So the safety car now gathers up the field. And essentially the race can now form itself back up under safety car. But Matej Kolnagi leads the race from Juan Cota. Maciej Gladish in 3rd from Ernesto Rivera. Chiano Alazzari and Thomas Strauben. Now this is a second chance for all of these drivers as they manage to tighten everything up. Now that's the safety car. I'm amazed actually that the safety car didn't catch the field when they came through. So what happened there? Because that's the safety car at the first corner. The rest of the field's already gone past the first turn. So I don't quite understand why the safety car wasn't there to collect the lead of the race. So very surprising, but okay, one of those races, I guess. But the Toyota Supra was not quite ready in time, I guess, for the leaders to come around. So Matej Kolnagi leading Juan Cota, then Maciej Gladish and Ernesto Rivera, then Chiano Alazzari and Thomas Strauben. Then it is James Zagotzi, René Lammers, Lucas Flusha and Jan Piotrowski. Then it is Francisco Macedo, Griffin Peebles and Peter Buzinelos, ahead of Adam Alazzari, Ariel Elkin, Gabriel Gomez. The Bat trying to rise up. Oh, that's a second car off in the distance. That's a GRS car gone off. Now, what's happened there? Was that under safety car? I think that might be. That's Alexander Jacobi. So Alexander Jacobi, I think that might be replayed footage, you know, because that's further round the course. But Alexander Jacobi's completed the same amount of laps as Joanna Ciconti. So I think that was a replay, actually. But that was Alexander Jacobi going off just a corner after Joan Ciconti. Now, what looks to me is what's happened there is that Ciconti and Jacobi have had a bit of a miscommunication under braking. And Jacobi's car went straight off. Alex Garcia is down in pit lane. What can you tell us?
Well, Jake, we've been talking to the teams because, of course, as you can imagine, everyone was just as surprised as you were about the situation with the safety car. Especially because, you know, the sooner the safety car catches everyone, the sooner we can have the whole race, you know, the whole group bunched up and restarted. But more than anything, you know, these guys are paying attention, you know, and they were telling us that, of course, this is we mentioned this before the start of the race. Chiano Alazzari gained back his 3rd place from Motorland Aragon. So he has a little bit more advantage in the championship than we thought at the start of the weekend. So that's probably why he's not taking too many risks yet. As we mentioned earlier, he started, gingerly, not taking too many big risks, as I was saying. And yeah, so he has 19 points that he had before the race, plus those 15 that he got back from Motorland. So he still can protect his lead ahead of tomorrow, at least. We'll see at that point.
Yeah, and particularly considering that Mattia Kolnagi has a lead with Al-Azhari currently in P5, it really does create a lot of problems for Chiara Al-Azhari going into race 2 tomorrow. What was the incident, Nathan Ty, we saw coming into the pits a little earlier on? Can you tell us anything about what's happening down at Campos with Nathan?
We're quite far actually from Campos, but we saw him coming after his incident. But really, from our point of view, we were mostly focused on what was happening at the end of the straight with Joan Ciconti, and also with this delay with the safety car. So we were kind of caught a little bit off guard there. But yeah, from what we can see, everything is more or less under control. All within reason.
Thank you, Alex. And the safety car is peeling off as well. So perfect timing. We can get back to race action. Gracias.
Thank you.
So back into the race action, we will come off the final turn. It's still all the way up to Mattia Kolnagi, who's still warming up tyres as he comes down the straight. This is really bunching everybody up, but we're under green flags. Go, 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 go. Green, 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 green. And we're under racing action. This is almost like the restart from the starting grid itself. Goodness me, Mattia Kolnagi really has bunched them up. So they go through to the first corner. No major dramas into turn 1 as yet, but certainly the whole field is properly bunched. And it's a very slow start for Mattia Kolnagi. But look at this. It's really warmed everything up on the inside. And again, Enes de Rivera has to defend from Chiara Al-Azhari, who tries to dive in up the inside line. And that's James Igozzi going side by side with Thomas Strauben. So Igozzi is going to move up into 6th position if he finishes off the move here. There's a lot of cluster and concertina effects as they work their way through. And that is Igozzi. He has got through in a 6th position. Past Thomas Strauben. The restart really hasn't worked out for the Belgian. But look, there's more coming as they go down to the hairpin. René Lammers is trying to get there. Griffin Peebles is trying to get a move on the inside line as well. This restart has worked out perfectly for the drivers in the lower end of the top 10. Because Igozzi, the young man from Miami in Florida, has been able to work his way through to 6th position now behind Chiara Al-Azhari, and the Red Bull Junior looks motivated to go ahead. This is not good news for Chiara Al-Azhari. These two, Al-Azhari and Igozzi, former teammates, of course, in their karting days when they were both in the Tony Kart factory operation. So they know each other's tricks, but they are not teammates anymore. Chiara Al-Azhari for MP, James Igozzi for Campos, and neither driver is going to be very forgiving of the other as they work their way in the battle. René Lammers is right behind in 7th, of course, as well for MP. Then Thomas Strauben for Rodin. Griffin Peebles is up to 9th for MP. A good restart from Griffin Peebles. And 10th place for Lucas Flusha. Ahead of Bishrovsky, Buzinelos and Ariel Elkin. So Ariel Elkin is knocking on the door of a championship point now. Excellent work. Jovan David's coming through the field. He and Gabriel Gomez have both managed to get ahead of Matas Reiber. So that puts Gomez to 15th, David to 16th, and Chris Elfagali. Goodness me, he's going through the field like scissors through wet newspaper. Up into 20th place now for Chris Elfagali. Great work. Now, this is absolutely terrific from the new boys, particularly for Ariel Elkin and Chris Elfagali, who are definitely making massive progress here in the closing stages of this race. Incident involving cars 29 and 11 will be investigated after the race. That is Joan Ciconti and Alexander Jacobi. And Francisco Macedo's coming to the pits. So Francisco Macedo is out of the race. Well, that is very disappointing indeed for the Portuguese driver. But can Juan Cota get on terms with Mattia Kolnagi in the closing stages? It's not going to be terribly easy. Buzinelos and Elkin have both made up 4 places now from their original grid position. Lucia's made up 3. Strauben and Igozzi have both made up 2. Gomez and David have made up 4. Adam Hidek, the Hungarian, has made up 7 places. Chris Elfagali has made up 11 places on his grid position. Excellent work indeed from the Lebanese driver. Excellent work so far. And so now the battles are going to tighten up in the final couple of moments of this race. But really good work. So let's see how they continue to move up. Kolnagi, Cota, Dadish, Rivera, Al-Azhari and Igozzi. Looking at the lap times, it's all very even up at the sharp end of the field. Everybody in the top 10 within 7/10 of each other. So it's very tough indeed to separate anybody out. Peter Buzanelos has made the move there on Jan Pestrovsky to move up into 12th position. And now Ariel Elkin has got ahead of Pestrovsky as well. So Elkin is just 2 places away from scoring a championship point. So very good work indeed there. Now on the restart, Chase Fernandez has been able to get past Maxi Restrepo and Lorenzo Campos. So some good moves there from Chase Fernandez. Just as well he was able to get back on the circuit again, because he and Tim Gerhards are making some overtakes. Hideg has got ahead of Tarn Vanichkul now as well by the look of it. And Cardenas has worked his way past Filippo Fiorentino. We're out of time. Time has run down to 0, so this is the penultimate lap. Chiara Baldassari trying to put pressure on Ernesto Rivera, and here comes James Igozzi, and watch out, because Frenny Lammers might make the move. Big overtaking chance coming. Lammers putting Igozzi back against the ropes here. They're going side by side. Lammers is pulling out a very brave move if he can finish this one. Igozzi's defending, and Lammers is trying to hold him off. Chiara Baldassari can't quite stay with Ernesto Rivera, but it's absolute skittles behind them. Juan Cota still trying to put Kolnagi under some pressure in the closing stages. There's yellow flags out on the course. It's a double yellow at turn 5. So somebody's gone off at 5. Oh, that's why we've got a double wave yellow. I can't quite see who that is. I think it's Gomez in the TC racing car. So that looks to me like Gabriel Gomez. Very unfortunate for the Brazilian, if that's the case. Well, actually, Tim Gerhards has stopped out on the circuit, so I think actually it's Tim Gerhards. Although Gomez was involved in the incident. We go on to the final lap. So Gomez has dropped to the back of the field. Tim Gerhards has stopped out on the circuit at turn 5. So there's going to be a massive wave yellows going through 5 then, because there is actually a car stationary on the circuit. Tarn Vanichkul's come in with damage. So has Lorenzo Castillo. It's all kicking off in the closing stages. So flying through the left-hander, Juan Cota still fancies his chances on Mattia Kolnagi. So does Igozzi, all over the back of Chiara Baldassari. They're still going to be pushing all the way through. Lucia is now 8th in front of Thomas Strauven. That is so risky, having a car stationary there on the straight. I suppose it's well off to the far side, so it's well off the racing line. But still, that's looking like an incident from the 80s, never mind the 2020s. And here comes the move from Cota. He's still swarming all over the back of Mattia Kolnagi. Kolnagi's having to be very defensive in the closing stages of this one. Perhaps he's over-defending. You don't want to block him too much, because then you open the door. Cota has a look at it. This could go right down to the final corner. If Kolnagi protects too much, then Cota may get his shot. They're getting very tight through the double rights. Juan Cota does not want to yield, nor does Mattia Kolnagi. This could be stalemate to the line. Through the right, through the left, and through the right again, then through the right flick. It's all going to come down to whether Cota can get close enough to Mattia Kolnagi, as that is Tim Gerhardt's stationary Monlau with a broken left suspension. And down to the final hairpin. Cota's going to have a look. He can't quite get there. It's going to be Mattia Kolnagi. It's been a great race all the way between these two, but it will be Mattia Kolnagi who takes the victory ahead of Juan Cota and Maciej Gladish. Brilliant racing in Spanish F4. Try as he might, Cota couldn't quite get there. And so Mattia Kolnagi lifts the victory. Fantastic work from the Italian. And so the KCL MPT manages to grab a win and a 3rd place. And that is Mattia Kolnagi's 3rd win of the season after his double victory performance at Paul Ricard. Now he adds a 3rd win of the season to his tally here in Jerez. Brilliant work from the Italian as Mattia Kolnagi gets the job done. Juan Cota in 2nd, Maciej Gladish in 3rd from Ernesto Rivera and Chiano Alazzari. It's a big points loss for the young man from Dubai. But there are still 2 races to go this weekend. And of course, in race 3, he will be starting from pole position. So it's not over yet. But some great racing all the way to the line. Some great performances all the way through. And some great drives, particularly from some of the competitors who have not been in the championship all year long. Another great duel here in Spanish F4. They really do give us a lot of entertainment. Excellent performance. So that means that there's 25 points on the board for Mattia Kolnagi. There's 15 on the board for Maciej Gladish, and there's 10 on the board Ricciardo Alazzari. That means that the championship gap has fallen now from 19 points to 4 points. So it really is tight now between Chiara Alazzari and Mattia Colnaghi. There's Griffin Peebles making his way back to the pits. He finished 10th place. He'll be bitterly disappointed. He looks like he just wants to get out of the car and back into the garage and try and assess the damage. Down in pit lane though, we are waiting for an incredibly deserving race winner, Mattia Colnaghi, doing an excellent job in front of Juan Cota and Maciej Gladish. Very unusual setup here with the podium at the end of the pit lane rather than at the entrance to the pit lane. But there is your race winner for KCLMP Motorsport, Mattia Colnaghi of Italy, ahead of Juan Cota, the Spaniard, and Maciej Gladish, the Pole. And as Mattia Colnaghi gets out of the car, for the third time this year, he is a race winner. And it's the first time he has won a race in Spain. Look at that. Mattia Colnaghi points to his fist. I pack a punch. Excellent work from the Italian. Once more, we'll have 3 different nations on the podium: Italy, Spain, and Poland. But an excellent drive from Mattia Colnaghi, who really is taking this title fight to the wire by the throat. Juan Cota congratulates him. His run of victories comes to an end for the moment, as Mattia Colnaghi takes a big scalp out of the points advantage of his rival, Chiara Alazzari, who finishes 5th in race 1, but there are still 2 races more this weekend where the young man from Dubai, or anyone else from that matter, can eat into that advantage. What a brilliant performance from Mattia Colnaghi, and a great race from the KCLMP team. They have their men in 1st and 3rd after a brilliant battle. Juan Cota, though, still showing that he's got that speed left over from Valencia, and he can now transfer it to any race circuit he chooses. Great stuff. A really good performance and an excellent battle. And that was only race 1. I have a feeling there's going to be more from races 2 and 3. But Ernesto Rivera, 4th position in front of Chiara Alazzari and James Igozzi, who comes through for the top 6. René Lammers came through there for 7th position in front of Lucas Flusha, Thomas Strauben and Griffin Peebles. They are the point scorers here at Jerez. Then Peter Businelos in front of Ariel Elkin, who did a great job to get up to P12. Jan Piotrowski, Adam Alazzari, Jovan David all making good progress. Matas Raba slipping to 16th in the end. From Adam Ideg, Lenny Rietz, Andres Cardenas, who shot forward to 19th. And Chris Elfagali, 20th place for him. Good work from the Lebanese driver. Ahead of Filippo Fiorentino, Christian Cantu, Victor Dobzhansky, Chase Fernandez, and Lorenzo Campos. Nobody else finished, unfortunately. A lot of problems for other drivers in the field. Enzo Tavadichko, Lorenzo Castillo, Maximo Strepo, Gabriel Gomez, Tim Gerhardt, Francisco Macedo, Alex Jacobi, Johan Gigonti, and Nathan Dye, all retiring from a very tough race here at Jerez. You can see the highlights as well. There was no need for an investigation into the start for Juan Cota, apparently. He did not jump the start. At least there was certainly no evidence to suggest as much. He just got the perfect launch from the starting grid. Excellent work from everybody down there. And it really will be fascinating to see how everything plays out in the 2nd and 3rd races of the weekend, of course. We're on a busy schedule, of course, this weekend, because we don't just have the F4 Spanish Championship in town. We also have Euro Cup 3, so in just a few short moments' time, we will be working our way forward through the start of the Euro Cup 3 race. Their pit lane opens in 9 minutes' time. But hopefully we'll at least be able to get a word with our race winner. I know that Alex Garcia is working hard to chase that down. It'd be great to hear from Mattia Colnaghi, who takes a win for the 3rd time in the 2024 season. His first 2 wins earlier this year were at the Le Castellet circuit at Paul Ricard in France. And now we get ourselves a victory for the young Italian here at Jerez de la Frontera, managing to hold off the charge of that man, Juan Cota. So an excellent race, a fantastic display, and a magnificent battle from several drivers in the field. They gave us plenty of good entertainment there. So the first race of the weekend has already given us a real scalp as far as the championship battle is concerned. So we get ourselves ready for race 2, which will of course be tomorrow morning. More great action to come from Spanish F4. Different conditions as well, of course, because it will be cooler earlier in the day. So that will be very interesting to see how that goes. Matti Kolnagi, race winner. Very similar helmet designs between Matti Kolnagi and Juan Cota. Thank goodness their cars are different colours, otherwise we wouldn't be able to tell them apart at all. But good to see Matti Kolnagi taking a victory. We won't be able to stick around for the podium ceremony, unfortunately, in Spanish F4, because of course we do have to make the transition through to Euro Cup 3. But Alex Garcia is down in pit lane. What a brilliant start to the weekend in Spanish F4. This championship battle is raging.
Yes, exactly, Jake. The title battle is raging, it's getting really, really intense, and Mattia Kolnagi makes sure to make it even more interesting. What an important win for the championship, but more than anything, what a defense that you needed to make sure that that was a win and not a second place. Yeah. Talk us through that.
So yeah, obviously very happy for the championship, because like this we are getting a lot closer to Keanu. We are putting the pressure on, and also yeah, Juan's pace was very good. He was definitely stronger than me in terms of race pace this race, but with all the dirty air, and I was trying to drive clean just to keep him behind and able to hold on. So yeah, in the end I was able to hold on even though it was very close, so I'm happy with that.
And now you have 2 more races tomorrow, races where you need and want to cut down that point advantage even more. What's the plan?
So tomorrow in race 2 we will be starting in P2. And I think we can go for pole in quali 2. The pace is definitely there, especially on the new tire, and we have a very consistent quali throughout the year, so I think we can go for another win tomorrow.
Congratulations, Mattia. Enjoy it for now.
Thank you very much.
So I think those were very, very honest admission from the race winner that his race pace probably wasn't on par with Juan Cota's. I think we like this kind of sporting behavior between these two drivers. We saw Juan coming to congratulate him right after the race, so it's very nice to see these guys respect each other so much, and of course they spend a lot of time together on and off the racetrack, so it's great. But more than anything, as I told Mattia, and as he himself admitted, there's 2 more races tomorrow. He thinks he can go for the win, so I think we have a cracker of a weekend ahead of us.
We certainly do, Alex Garcia. Thank you so much for grabbing the winning interview there from Matti Kolnagi. Now we know a little bit about what the tyres are going to do in the hotter part of the race. Tomorrow morning's race is going to be fascinating in the cooler conditions. Do we think drivers will be a little bit more ambitious in race 2 tomorrow, perhaps?
They should be, especially because the conditions are going to be even better than they were now in terms of less tire degradation. But also this means that they will get to race 3 with, let's say, no information on how the tires are really going to perform through a long distance, because the race 1 was not as hot as it could have been. So that's, again, more interesting for us, because we'll have the drivers under a little bit more pressure. So ahead of the last round of the weekend, of the season, I think we couldn't ask for more. So let's see if these guys give us more action tomorrow. But I think after what we saw today, and if you'll excuse me, that hell of a finish tomorrow, I look forward to it.
We'll let you have that, Alex. Gracias, mi amigo. Thank you very much. We will wrap up proceedings here on the F4 Spanish Championship race, because we have another great battle ahead of us in Euro Cup 3 on that channel. Go and join us for the second race of today's activities. But F4 Spanish Championship, we'll be back tomorrow with the second race bright and early on Sunday morning. Join us then. Adios, amigos.